All right, guys, we're going to take a look at arithmetic sequences. I'm really just going to introduce you to the idea. So let's say you have a sequence that goes -14, -17, -20, -23, and so forth. Okay, so let's define what the components of a sequence are. So a sub 1. So a sub 1 is going to be your first term. And what's the first term out of this sequence? It's just the first number, which is -14. A sub 2 is going to be your second term. And what's the second term? The 1, 2. A sub 3 is going to be your third term. 1, 2, 3. A sub 4 or A sub 5 or A sub 6 or A sub 50 or A sub 100, we're going to represent as A sub n, which is going to be your nth term, which is whatever number you're talking about. Okay, so A sub 1 is going to be your first term, is really your most important thing. A sub 2, your second. A sub 3, A sub 4, A sub 5, and so forth. All right, so n is the term number. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So n is 1, n is 2, n is 3, n is 4. And the way you're looking at that is if you see A sub n is the nth term, right? And if you see where we have this n, here we have a 1, and we know this is the first term. Here we have a 2, we know it's the second term. So n is the n term number. What we're going to do is actually, if you take your pencil, and we're going to separate this like this so that you know this goes together. So if I'm talking about n is equal to 1, which number am I going to be looking at? The first one. If I'm talking about where n is equal to 4, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead and point the arrow when I'm talking about n is equal to 3, which number am I speaking on? I'm going to repeat that process again for this definition right here. Go ahead and just kind of, what is the term before? Yep, put it all the way around like that. And let's go ahead and talk about that definition. So a n minus 1, okay, a sub n minus 1 is the previous term, the term before it. So what is the term before -17? If you look here, here's -17. What's the term before it? -14. Okay, so a sub n minus 1 just means the previous term. It's the one before. Okay, so you go ahead and arrow to what is the term before -23. So find -23, then arrow to the term before it, because we're talking about a sub n minus 1. All right, and then the last one we're going to talk about is the common difference. So these are just all the things that you need to know before we can even begin. All right, so common difference is your second term minus your first term. That's going to give you your common difference. So if I take my second term, and what is my second term? -17. So if I do -17 minus your first term, so even though it already has a minus, you're going to go ahead and put it in there. You put that right in the calculator, so -17 is going to give you -3. Okay, so to find your common difference, you take your second term and you subtract your first term. And be careful, because if your term has a negative, you still put it in there. Do not drop it. All right, so those are the basics on what the definitions of a sequence is. There are two kinds of sequences, two types of formulas that we're going to use, recursive and explicit. The way I remember this is this. When you're doing recursive, I think of the word cursive. All right, when you write in cursive, I'm going to underline that. Right, let's write recursive in cursive. So you join each letter, right? And my cursive is really bad. All right, you join each letter, right? So because you join each letter, I can't write this E without the V. All right, so anytime you're dealing with recursive, you need the term before you can write the formula. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. I think cursive, when you're writing in cursive, you're joining all the letters. I cannot write this S here without having this R. Okay, I can't write this R without having the U. So this recursive one is always going to need the term before. You have to have the term before in order to write it. And that's how you know which formula to use. If they give you the term before, you're using recursive. If they don't give you the term before, you're using explicit. So let's take a look at what those two formulas mean. So let's do explicit. Now we're going to talk about this by hand real quick, and then we're going to show you how to do this in a calculator. So let's talk about by hand. Write a formula with the information given. So your first term, all right? So again, going through the definitions, where is your first term? A sub 1, right? This means first term. Which one means your common difference? So looking through your definitions again, D is my common difference, so D is my common difference. All right, my nth term, okay, so looking through your definitions again, your nth term is A sub n. So this is my nth term right here. And then my term minus 1, that's going to be my term. Remember, n is the term number, and then minus 1, that's going to be this right here. All right, so we're just defining the formula. Once you've defined the formula, putting in everything you need to put in becomes very easy. So write an explicit formula for A sub n with the nth term of the sequence. So you're writing the formula for A sub n is equal to, and the formula says put in the first term. So looking at this, what is the first term? 1. Then you put a plus sign. Then you do n, and what is n again? N is the term number. And because they said the nth term, what is the letter you put in? N. If they said 4, you'd put 4. If they said 50, you'd put 50. But right now they're asking for n, so you put n. Then what's next? Minus 1 times D, which is the common difference. Again, how do you find the common difference? Second number minus the first number. So it's negative 9 minus 1. You put that right in the calculator. Negative 9 minus 1. So that's going to be negative 10. Now, we're going to leave it looking like this, but technically you're supposed to simplify this. I am not going to simplify it. I'm just showing you how to write it. All right, we're going to go to the next question. Write and evaluate an explicit formula for A sub n for the 10th term. So this time, instead of the nth term, they're giving us a 10th term. The process is exactly the same. You start with the formula. So A sub, and now I want not the nth term, but I want the 10th term. So I'm going to put 10 for n because I want the 10th number, equals, and then what's the first one? First term. What's the first term here? 1. All right, then I'm going to put plus. Now, instead of n, I'm looking for the 10th, right? So remember, n is the term number. So this will be the first, second, third, fourth, etc. So I'm looking for number 10. Then keep going with the formula, minus 1 times d. And d is what? The common difference. How do I find the common difference again? Second term minus the first term. So second term is negative 9 minus the first term is negative 10 in a calculator. Again, put all of that right up in a calculator and you should get negative 89. All right, let's go to the next. All right, so go ahead and you write and evaluate the explicit formula for A sub n, the 7th term of the sequence. Okay, so what I want you to do is write A sub n, write it in terms of n, and then write it in terms of the 7th. So A sub n, I want you to find 2 of them, n and 7. So go ahead and do this. So basically doing these 2 right here. All right, so we're going to take a look at recursive. So in recursive, all right, we just have a different formula. So let's go ahead and go through our definitions. All right, so nth term, okay, so the nth term is A sub n. And again, we can just look right here, okay. A sub n is the nth term. All right, the common difference we now know is D. And you can look right up here, common difference is D. Previous, the one before term, okay, so the previous term, right, is A sub n minus 1. So that's this one right here. Okay. Once you know what each thing stands in the formula, it's very simple to use the formula. So let's use the formula. Write a recursive formula for A sub n, the nth term of the sequence for this. So they want you to write the nth term. So we're going to write A sub n equals, and what does the formula say? The term before it. Okay, well, they didn't tell me which one they want, so I'm just going to write the term before it, which is A sub n minus 1. Okay. Then plus D, so plus D, and what's the common difference? So again, how do I find the common difference? Second minus the first. So 7 minus 16. 7 minus 16 in a calculator is going to be minus 5. All right. So just a quick summary. This simply says what you're looking for. It's the term before plus the difference. Let me say that again. For whatever I'm looking for, it's whatever the term before it is, and then you're going to add the difference. It's the term before, and then you're going to add the difference. We're going to go over this a little bit later in the book. I just want to introduce you to the terminology so that you are okay. Now we're going to go into show you how to put it into the calculator. All right, so we're going to just do exactly what it says. Copy and paste the answer choices into Desmos. So we're going to copy each answer choice past the equal sign. You're copying it exactly as you see. So 24 parentheses 5 divided by 2, close parentheses. Then, again, make sure you're copying exactly as you see it. And then shift 6, or we can do to the power of, and we're going to say negative n. Okay, does it look the same? It does. Now I'm going to copy all of them. So let me copy, I'm going to copy this, paste it. So that's 24. Then it's supposed to be 2 over 5 here. All right, all I'm doing is copying it down. And then on the top, it's 1 minus n. All right, is it copied correctly? Yes. Next one, I'm just paste in. This is also 2 over 5. So 2 over 5 to negative n. Okay, that's done. Last one is 60 out here. 5 over 2 to the positive n. All right, so you're going to copy down your 4 choices. These are my possible answers. Then it says check for each term, i.e. when n is equal to 1 or when n is equal to 2, does it give you the sequence? So I'm looking when n is equal to 1, does it give me 60? When n is equal to 2, does it give me 150? Well, let's go ahead and put it. We're going to go substitute where we see n. I'm going to put 1. Does it give me my first term? No, so it is not a. So I'm just Xing that out. So I'm going to go to the second one. Does it give me, so n is 1, does it give me 60? It does not, so I'm going to X that one out. I'm going to come over here. When n is 1, does it give me 60? It does. So this could possibly be the answer, but don't believe the first answer you get. Keep putting it. So when n is 1, it's 60. When n is 2, it should be 150. So let's check that. When n is 2, is it 150? It is. When n is 3, it should be 375. Let's check that. So when n is 3, it should be 375. Therefore, this one is the answer. So this one is the one that had that. Let me go find that one. That's the answer. Now you're going to do that. Plug this into the calculator. Then check when n is equal to 1, does it give you 7? When n is equal to 2, does it give you 14? When n is equal to 3, does it give you 21?